What up YouTube? How are we feeling today? Hope you're doing great. Hope you're doing fantastic. Back with another Division 2 video and back with another TU16 build. And this is my micro build. This is a build all around the micro league for this week and the next week that helps you shred through all the missions on hard or on challenging, whatever that mission requires. And of course taking out elite Black Tusk and at the same time bleeding them down. This is a great setup and a pretty easy setup to make, and I think every single agent within the game already has it, or you can really farm for it and it's pretty easy. The few things that you can do with this build is shred through everything, and it only takes half the time that you are required to run through these missions. Yes guys, only half the time, and this is a pretty awesome build to run around with. This bleeds enemies, takes enemies out. This has some survivability with the chest and the gear set combination. Yes, you heard it right, it is a gear set, and this is why it's so easy to farm if you don't really have it yet. Then of course we need to bleed a little bit more enemies and take out elite Black Tusk. Elite Black Tusk are very common within the countdown. Countdown is a very nice mode to play around with just your friends, or even go into matchmaking, and this build holds up. In my opinion, just go for challenging and then you can just shred through everything, and especially at the end, because at the end they will all be elite Black Tusk. If they come down from the chopper, if they are at the extraction, or if you're lucky, the whole countdown will be Black Tusk already, and this helps you out shredding through all those elite enemies and gaining every single point that you need. The league is only live for a few days and I already have everything done. As you can see in the background, I collected every single thing and I have everything on 10 stars. So all the missions, all the hostiles bled, and all the elite Black Tusk taken out. And you can do it in multiple ways, or running through countdown, or of course going for bounties, or going for normal missions. Then go for the invaded missions. You can always switch to an invaded mission and then take out those elite Black Tusk until you reach that cap of 250. It is pretty easy. I would recommend going for countdown, because at the end, at the extraction, all the enemies will be elite and all the enemies will be Black Tusk. If you have a good team, don't fire that flare up in the air, but just wait until the choppers come down and then you can take out every single enemy pretty quickly. They are next to each other, they are grouped up, so you can shoot your foam down, trap them, and then just take everybody out. It's a pretty easy way to bleed enemies and then of course take out elite Black Tusk. But let's dive right into this video. It's gonna be a short video. I'm just gonna fly through it and show you what you need to equip to just shred through this micro league and do everything at once. Starting with my specialization, we are using the gunner specialization. And why are we using the gunner? For that extra survivability of 10% armor on kill, and of course that third reload is 50% faster, and that comes in clutch as well. And starting with my main gun, and this is almost the only gun that we're using, and that's the Lady Death. And why the Lady Death? As we know, we're gaining that extra 75% amplified damage for every bullet that is in the magazine. But the bigger thing is that 20% movement speed. You all know, if you take somebody out with the Lady Death, you are 20% faster. We need to speed run through all the missions, so the Lady Death is almost a must-have in every single speed run build, at least in my opinion, if you want to go for a run and gun build and don't go for status effects. Next to that, I chose to go for my Baker's Dozen. This is the named M1A. This comes with perfect lucky shot. I went for damage to target out of cover as an attribute. And why are we using the Baker's Dozen? Because some of the missions have elevated enemies or enemies that are away from you. And then the Baker's Dozen, aka the M1A, you can use the M1A as well. Then it's a very nice gun. You can still hit up to that 2.2 million a crit shot. and then just take him out, and it's pretty easy. I would recommend to go for a rifle. Then for the handgun, it doesn't really matter what you go for something that you don't have proficient yet. This is just an easy and quick way to get your proficiency levels up without you donating materials or duplicates. And then over to the build, as you can see, we're running around with 4 pieces of Hunter's Fury. Why the Hunter's Fury? Because this gives you an extra SMG damage. We are running around with that SMG. You're gaining an extra 20% armor on kill. So we're gaining a total of 30% armor on kill. Gives you that extra survivability. And of course, it debuffs the enemies and boosts your damage output to those enemies that are close within 15 meters. Everything is just weapon damage and critical hit damage. So a mod extra on the mask. Then over to my holster, weapon damage, critical hit damage, knee pads, weapon damage, critical hit damage, and the gloves, weapon damage and critical hit damage. Then over to my backpack, I chose to go for Sokolov for boosting up my extra damage for my SMGs, an extra 10%. Again, I went for some extra attributes. I can increase the critical hit damage a little bit more, but I need to optimize it a little bit. And I went for vigilance, especially for running around with all the league missions. It's pretty easy to take out enemies, and you need that burst fire. It is not really common that you will get hit, and if you get hit, of course, this goes away for 4 seconds, but gaining that extra 25% weapon damage off rip is a very, very nice addition to this build. And then the last piece is going to be the Ridgeway's Pride. Why the Ridgeway's Pride? Of course, again, fully god rolled with everything, critical hit chance and critical hit damage on there. But if you are within 15 meters, just like you have to be with the Hunter's Fury, you will apply bleed to that enemy. And the beautiful thing is, you only have to bleed enemies. Of course, we're taking them down. But for the micro leak itself, you only have to bleed enemies. So that is a great, great addition, for example, for Countdown. Because there are a few ways that you do not have that last skill. This Ridgeway's Pride is a must-have to combine that extra damage, that extra survivability. Because if people around you are bleeding, you're gaining an extra armor repair up to that 48% a second. This is why this Ridgeway's Pride is so good on this micro build, this micro league build, giving you that extra survivability and make sure whatever gun you're using, you are applying that bleed. So this is why I chose for this setup, guys. For the Hunter's Fury, you need to be within 15 meters. Whenever that Hunter's Fury icon pops up, you know that you are within 15 meters. Open up your gun, and then you will always apply the bleed with that Ridgeway's Pride. You can go for whatever skill that you like. I went for a Revive Hive, and I went for the Chem Launcher with that foam on there, especially for Countdown. If a door opens up, you fire it on the door, then they are all stuck, and then just open up your Lady Death and shred through them. Make sure to spray and pray a little bit so you are attaching that bleed to multiple enemies and not just one. And that's exactly the same at the end of the Countdown, at the extraction. When the guys come down from the chopper, shoot down your foam. They are all grouped up. Again, spray and pray to make sure that everybody has that bleed effect on them, and then take everybody out. So let's jump over to the stats. I have 105% weapon damage because my gun is still at expertise level 0. Both guns are still at expertise level 0, so you can see everything in the background is still without any expertise level. So don't worry about that, you will do exactly the same damage. And if you have an expertise, you will do even more. I have 53% critical hit chance and 165.8% critical hit damage. This could be a little bit higher if I optimize my backpack all the way through, but it's pretty decent and it's good enough for this run through. But that's pretty much it, guys. We don't run around with armor cores or yellow cores, so these are the only sets you get. But of course, don't remember, in combination with my gunner specialization and with the Hunter's Fury, regaining an extra 30% armor on kill, and with the Rich Waste Pride, we're gaining an extra armor regeneration. Depends on how many enemies around you are bleeding. But that's it, guys. Definitely use this build and let me know what your fastest time are on this league. I'm very curious how fast you can be, especially with this build. Hit me up in the comments down below. I would love to hear. But that's it. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to smash that like button, hit that subscribers button, and of course that notification bell. PurePrime out.